Hey, what's happening guys, Rolandas here. Today we're gonna be talking about my experience with Oral Minoxidil. I'm gonna be analyzing what kind of improvements I've seen so far, as well as gonna answer like a frequently asked questions that I'm getting pretty much on a daily basis. And before we dive into it, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm posting videos on my second hair transplant experiences, as well as Oral Minoxidil and a lot of different other tips and tricks with hair loss, hair transplants, etc. So I think it's gonna be very useful for you to subscribe. Alright, let's jump into the video. So the most frequently asked question that I'm getting pretty much on a daily basis is where I'm getting my Oral Minoxidil.
And the truth is,
I got my Loniten tablets 5 mg for free. I got it from one person that bought it for himself and he decided not to use it and he just gave me as a present. He asked me,
do you want it?
I said yes.
Deal's done. So I didn't get prescription for it and of course I'm gonna run out pretty soon, and according to my calculations I'm gonna run out at some point in October, in 2 months. So I'm starting to look a lot into where I can possibly get my hands on, Oral Minoxidil. And of course the places that you can possibly get it from prescription wise is dermatologists, trichologists and hair transplant doctors. Don't bother with your general practitioners, GPs. Definitely, I seriously doubt they're gonna give you a prescription for it because it's prescribed for hair loss as off-label, and in general oral minoxidil of tablets is not really used even for hypertension that frequently, like they're better drugs if it makes sense. So it's not like a widely known drugs, and in certain countries they don't even have it. So I'm currently doing my research. I'm emailing different clinics and trying to find some places in the UK specifically where I can get the prescription for oral minoxidil, and once I build some list or I'm gonna have some kind of findings, I'll make sure to update you guys on that, so stay tuned. One more reason to subscribe. The second frequently asked question is what dose I'm using. So currently I'm on 2.5 mg of oral minoxidil, and I started with actually lower dose. So for the first 1 month I was taking 1.25 mg. So I have a 5 mg tablet and I was quartering it and taking it every day basically. So first month, just to kind of mitigate the potential side effects, and kind of give my body more time to adjust, so it's gonna be like an easier adjustments. I'm a very big believer in starting something new, in a smaller way, let's say. So any drug, Finasteride, Minoxidil, whatever, starting slower, smaller, and kind of slowly build up your dose and tolerance. Another question is how long I'm planning to stay on oral minoxidil. And the basic answer is forever, or as long as I want to keep my hair,
Or
as long as I don't have any side effects. And while we're speaking about side effects, so far I have none. I really didn't experience anything bad. And I know a lot of you guys are jealous. They you telling me
oh, this guy has no side effects for anything.
What can I do? I'm just not overthinking and I really don't see anything bad. Some people were saying that they have, especially with topical, they get this black, bags under the eyes and etc. And especially with oral minoxidil. And some people made this kind of comments a couple of times under my previous videos, saying that after I started taking oral minoxidil, my kind of eye bags become darker and everything. But to be honest, it's really not the case, and it's really easy to explain. Right now I'm on holidays in Bulgaria, and I've been having plenty of sleep, I'm not tired, I'm not doing anything specifically, I'm not going to work. So I'm pretty much relaxing here and everything. And I've noticed, to be honest, that if I look in the mirror, my circles under the eyes, they're not really that dark. There is almost nothing in there, to be honest. It all depends on that day, how much I slept, what I did. Right now they look a little bit more because it's evening already. But in certain days I noticed there's pretty much nothing, while compared to some other videos that I made a month ago, for example, my eye bags looked really dark. And it's only due to lack of sleep and stress and all of this kind of thing. So yeah, I don't think you can really relate completely to oral minoxidil. At least for me, I just noticed that this is clearly not the case, because I'm still on the drug and I'm looking much better, later. So yeah, that's that. In my other oral minoxidil videos, there was a frequent question if I'm taking something else. And the answer is yes, I'm taking Finasteride 1 mg per day for the last 2 years already. So I'm doing well on it, and I've seen really great improvement, not just in terms of stabilization of hair loss or slowing down further progression of hair loss, let's say, to the point that I don't see any shedding at all. And also just a tiny bit of regrowth in my crown and mid-scalp. And of course we're gonna dive into the picture so you can see how it looks in a moment. And the last question that is popping up pretty much all the time, and people messaging me privately, is did I get any unwanted body hair growth? The answer is no. Again, it's the same. I didn't notice any extra like a growth, for example, on my beard or my face, on my arms, legs, nowhere. The only thing I noticed is that my eyelashes, they're growing a little bit longer. So the normal anagen phase for the eyelashes is between like what, 30 and 45 days. That's like their normal growth, you know, phase before they just fall off, you know. So they're not growing very long. And while it's difficult to measure, I'm not gonna be actually checking the, you know, how long they're growing. But I just notice whenever I look in the mirror on like my eyelashes, they look a little bit like longer. It's not like a crazy something, but just something I noticed. Again, it doesn't bother really. And yeah, no other body growth. I didn't see anything on hands or legs or anything. Since we started talking about what I noticed already from taking Oral Minoxidil, it's been 2.5 months only, so it's not really that long of a time. Nonetheless, I'm still experiencing a lot of improvement in certain areas. I've noticed a great regrowth on my crown, because that's the only area that was not touched with my second hair transplant. They literally, Dr. Ferrer literally stopped like kind of on the very beginning of the crown, but he didn't go into mid or like a lower crown. Of course, lower crown is like absolutely perfect, but I'm Norwood 5, potentially going into Norwood 6. So where the area where the whorl starts, this area was not touched with the hair transplant. And I've seen pretty great and actually amazing improvement already in just 2.5 months. Let's have a look. Okay, this is the picture I took today, and let's have a closer look at the current situation. So, like I mentioned, this particular area whorl was not touched at all during the second transplant. So basically there is nothing, nothing transplanted, and whatever improvement is in there, it's all of it basically due to Oral Minoxidil. But because it's been on Finasteride for 2 years, and there is very unlikely I'm gonna experience any further like a regrowth at this stage. It looks pretty nice, to be honest. And of course it's difficult for you, especially for new guys that are watching. You don't know how it looked before. So I decided to have a look how my crown looked just in the very beginning when I started Oral Minoxidil. Of course the hair length was much shorter because I had it bust for my second transplant, but nonetheless, if we zoom in closely, we're gonna be able to see it. So this is the picture taken exactly 2 months ago. On June 28th, I was like about what, 3 weeks after my transplant, and yeah, so as you can see here, this was the end of the recipient area for my transplant. Let's have a look on the whorl over here, and you can notice, like you can see there is some hair, but there are some patches, and of course there are some like areas that the hair kind of like just sprouts, which means the hair is very, very thin and miniaturized in there. It grows very, like it doesn't grow long, and in order for it to even to grow, it takes a long time. So this picture was taken on 28th of July, so 1 month after, roughly 1 month after I started Oral Minoxidil. And of course the hair is longer, but nonetheless, it looks like it's already like a bit fuller, a bit like more hair compared to this area. You see, that's the whole whorl, and this is the same whorl, and it looks like it's already much more hair. You see the difference? 1 month ago, and this is right now. And of course the angles and lights are a little bit different, but nonetheless it looks much thicker. It's not just because of the like a hair length, but overall there is more hair strands in each area. So let's try to zoom in and kind of put together in a similar fashion. Yeah, I believe something like this. So have a look here, this area, how many hairs? And like right now, it's a clearly much more hair, like overall. And we could see here like a few here and there sprouted, they just started to grow. Here is like a single thin, you know, hair follicle. And in this, like in this picture, so many more. And even if you zoom in quite a lot, you can see there is even more improvement. Like for example, here there was like a double graft. So one hit, the first hair is much longer than the second hair, like sprouted a bit later. And like quite a lot here, there, over here, small one, just sprouted It's very difficult to see. It's very difficult to take this kind of pictures, but nonetheless, it's much more hairs. Then another area that I see an improvement are temple peaks. Of course, this area was transplanted on my second transplant, so it might be a little bit like difficult to say, but right now I'm 2.5 months roughly after my second transplant. I'm actually almost 3 months. Nonetheless, at this stage, there is not much growth, if any, of the newly transplanted hairs. There's only a few like grafts here and there that didn't shed and just keep growing, and they're a bit more visible because they're like a little bit thicker and darker compared to like other, you know, native hairs in that area. They're a little bit like a thinner, lighter. But nonetheless, I took this picture today of my right temple peak, and I managed to focus pretty nicely that we can actually see pretty good quality if we zoom in. So if you look closer, like there are some of the hairs are clearly transplanted, like this one, this one, this one, this one, definitely this one. Nonetheless, if you actually look closer, there's so much new growth that is definitely not transplanted, but is 100% from oral minoxidil. Why? Because just look at here. My transplanted area was roughly over here, going like that, up and going down. That was like the kind of peak. But all of this around, all of this hair, like this hair, they were not there like 2 months ago. So these are clearly from oral minoxidil, and of course they're like there's a lot of them growing. I don't expect all of them to become permanently like a strong, you know, thick hair, like a terminal hair, but some of them they show some potential. And to be honest, even little bits over here, there's so many here and there, like a little tiny wispy hairs. If there's a lot of them, they can stack up to overall density. So I see it as a great improvement. And yeah, it's not just a new growth. The hairs that were there before, like for example this one, it was much thinner and much shorter, and now it looks like it's slowly getting into this like a terminal kind of thicker caliber hair that can grow longer as well. So, and just over here a bunch of them, to be honest, all over the place. So yeah, I'm really happy to see all of this improvement, and it looks like it's gonna be looking pretty good, to be honest. I'm expecting after another 6 months to have a pretty decent result overall. So yeah, so far I didn't notice anything else, anything extra, so I think we can wrap up on this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like this video, that can help me a lot as well. Of course, if you got any more questions, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. And that's it, it's now written in Belgian everything. And in Belgium, actually, follicles feel even better than in France.